There has been a widespread and stringent agitation by a large segment of Nigerians against alleged neglect of hardships occasioned by recent economic reforms being implemented by government, including the removal of fuel subsidy and the unification of forex rates. The NGK's Nigerian Community Action for Resilience and Economic Stimulus, initially known as Nigerian COVID-19 Action for Recovery and Economic Stimulus, was designed by the government as a social safety net that will provide needed succor and relief to Nigerian citizens at the aftermath of the COVID-19 pandemic. The removal of fuel subsidy and the unification of exchange rates with the attendant inflationary pressures and the economic hardships. The program is funded by a government with credit from the World Bank. After surviving the devastation of COVID-19, the federal government has retained the social intervention as palliative measures to cushion the effect of economic reform measures under the federal government's renewed hope agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So far, the government has kept pace with its commitment and responsibilities under the program. The first 4-year phase of the program will be rounded up shortly by December 2025. And the first and the last tranche of payment has just been released to the states. On the whole, a total of approximately $696 million or 1.06 trillion naira in today's terms has so far been committed to Nigeria NGKS 1. Government plans a new cycle of the program, but in the meantime, stock taking of implementation, outcome, and impact of the first phase is underway. There is clearly a disconnect between cause and effect as contemplated in the design of the NGKS project. It is intended to fully address the critical needs and provide sufficient relief to the most vulnerable people in society. Specifically, NGKS should address 3 major result areas and deliver on 11 critical disbursement link indicators, namely, number 1 is social safety net and basic services, which include social transfer, labor-intensive public works, livelihood support, and the community and basic service infrastructure support. Number 2 is food security and delivery, which include agricultural input and services, labor-intensive agri infrastructure, agricultural assets, and upgrading and safe function of wet markets. And number 3 is facilitated recovery and the capabilities of MSMEs, which include MSE matching grants, operational support grants, and IT enhancement grants. NGKS utilizes existing delivery platform at the state and the FCT, including CSDP, FADAMA, SOKU, YESO, SEFO, and GIF for implementation depending on the particular RA and DLI being implemented. Reasonable safeguards are built into the program to ensure effective implementation. It provides for engagement of IVAs and TPMs and regular reviews of program implementation. So far, the federal government has fulfilled their funding obligation and provided the guidelines and the operational arrangement for the effective implementation of NGKS 1. As indicated above, a total of $696 million or 1.06 trillion naira has been released as social intervention, safety net, and palliatives to Nigerians in 36 states and the FCT through the various delivery platforms. It is therefore most surprising that the effect of these palliatives is not being felt by the target vulnerable groups in Nigeria after government has committed so much resources to this purpose through the states. There is still a loud cry of government neglect of the plight of Nigerians enduring the brunt of economic reforms. The House Committee on NGKS, in exercise of its powers under Section 88 and 89 of the Constitution, has resolved to commence immediate and full investigation of the NGKS program so as to unravel the disconnect and ascertain the propriety of expenditure of the huge sums provided by the government for the administration of social welfare. The embassy investigation should provide answers to the following nagging questions that create the disconnect between cause and the effect. 1. Were the funds embezzled? Were the funds misappropriated or diverted to some other purpose in the state? Did the utilization of the fund create enough value for money? In other words, was there an undue inflation of contracts? Can the integrity and the fairness of the procurement process stand scrutiny? In other words, did the contract procurement follow due process? Did the inbuilt safeguards IVS and TPMs operate effectively, or did they become compromised and fail? Was the distribution of national amounts fairly done? Why did some states manage to get more than the attributable national amount? Why did the operational mechanism fail in a number of states? How can the operational mechanism and delivery platforms DPs be strengthened across the states? Should training workshops be organized for NGKs operating at the state and strengthen the operational mechanism and effectiveness of the delivery platforms? A discord of cause and effect. Several states have claimed billions of naira for social transfer. These beneficiaries are Nigerians that can be reached. If fake names have been used to claim social transfer, we will say so. States have collected billions of naira for agri input and services, for labor-intensive agri infrastructure, for procurement of agri assets, and for development and upgrading of wet market and storage facilities. If we verify these claims, we will also disclose the impact they have had on food supply, food prices, and the plight of ordinary Nigerians. If we are unable to verify the claims, we will name and shame the affected states and insist that the right thing should be done. Similarly, we will verify the grant and other support purportedly given to MSEs for recovery and economic stimulus. Billions of naira has been collected by state for these interventions to small businesses, which should have facilitated their resilience and survival, contributing substantially to economic well-being and prosperity of ordinary Nigerians. If the funds have been properly applied to provide social safety net for vulnerable Nigerians, then Nigerians in search of safety net and palliatives can be told where to look for and find them. If the funds have been diverted, the affected states should restore the funds and utilize them properly. If there has been a gross mismanagement of funds, the people will know that the funds for palliatives have been misused and who to hold responsible. If the procurement process has been abused, then the BPP and the anti-graft agencies have their work cut out for them. The full-scale investigation we carry out regarding the administration of the palliative through NGK is not a witch hunt to anybody, but intended to set the record straight and hopefully address the plight of vulnerable Nigerians under the weight of hardships occasioned by economic reforms. Let the right thing be done and let the Nigerian people be better for it. We want to establish a nexus, a clear cause and effect between the resources provided by federal government and the social safety nets and the relief impact that the Nigerian people feel. Has the federal government abandoned the people without succor, or have they provided palliative caution to alleviate the difficulties of reform measures? If this had been done, then let the people know and let the complaints cease. If this had not been done, let it be done by those who now hold the funds that have already been made available.